Hi, Aries. Welcome to your December 2020 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Oh, wow. I have been waiting for December since probably, I don't know, maybe the middle of the year, because I knew there were going to be a lot of retrogrades. I knew that it was going to be kind of stop and start again. And now we have this green light with all the personal planets direct. But on top of that, we have the Sagittarius season, which is very festive. It dovetails with our holiday season. And you can just see, it doesn't even matter what your religion is, you probably celebrate something in December, and or even if you don't have a religion at all. And you can certainly feel it. The vibe is definitely upbeat. And so that's true for the collective, but as an Aries person, Sagittarius, which is where the sun is for most of the month, and some of these personal planets fall in your ninth house because you are the template for the universal chart, and therefore this is Sagittarius's own house. And so Jupiter rules that house, and Jupiter is about making merry, just living life in a very positive way, expansion, luck, and um, that kind of goodwill towards men and women. So that there's a lot of that energy this month in particular. Now, of course, these personal planets, they are going to be close to the sun, so that isn't like bizarre or anything like that, but it's not always the case that you're going to have Venus and Sagittarius at this particular time. It could be in November, it could be, at a different time. So I just feel like we've gone through so much in 2020 that we start to see things easing up during this last month of the year. So on the first of the month, Mercury goes into Sagittarius. Now, the ninth house is the house of God. But there are several houses in the zodiac that we could say are connected to spiritual matters. The eighth house that Scorpio rules is connected to metaphysics and kind of like the mysteries of life, what happens after we die, the death process, which is, kind of a fascinating thing unto itself. The 12th house is a house of karma, the house of past lives, reincarnation, the spiritual realms. The eighth house we could look also as the paranormal house, as beings being affected from the other side, the other side coming to communicate to us. And, these are water houses, the 8th and the 12th houses. So they are dealing also with the emotions, whether it's repressed emotions, repressed memories, things like that. But the ninth house, to me, is more out there. It's not internalized because it's not the emotions, it's the mind. It's a mental house. Like its opposite house, the third house. The ninth house is the house of the higher mind. It's in academia, so it's the university level of teaching and learning, and it is the house of long distance travel, any form of expansion, whether it's geographical or mental, or this can be Mercury in this travel house could mean that you are preparing for some kind of a trip and getting those legal documents or the passport or what have you. Mercury can be those types of documents and communication that you're having. Perhaps there are some plans of studying abroad. Now, obviously, in our current, I don't know, lockdown situation or wherever you live, there may be some sort of changes that have been made, alterations, if you will, but still, it could be in this area or in academia in general. communicating with a college. Maybe if you want to work in a university, you're having those discussions. And just having your mind on philosophical matters for whatever reason. On the 14th, or studying, you could be studying something that has a spiritual kind of a tradition behind it. Because I especially think of the ninth house as organized religion with different organized dogmas, belief systems. On the 14th, we have a solar eclipse at 23 degrees of Sag in this house. So this can mean opportunities that are in this area of life. And this is where one of the houses where the eclipses are going to be, continuing into 2021. So the South Node is here, transiting through here, though, too. So anything that is like a pattern for you that involves religion will have to be, if you want to call it shunned, altered, looked at, what have you, because it can be kind of a comfort zone that you have to transcend. An example of this would be if you belong to a particular church and you have this inkling that you have become less in alignment with the belief system, and yet you're clinging to that familiar territory, and the universe is asking you to, consider new belief systems, bringing in new information, expanding your wisdom, what have you, and being able to do that and not feel like you're losing something. This can also involve some kind of academic work. And of course, travel can always figure into this, or travel itself. Maybe this is going to be a year in 2021 when you are doing a lot of travel. And perhaps if you're working remotely, you can do both. Or maybe working overseas. On the 15th, Venus goes here. And Venus is very favorable, as just like Jupiter, these are two benefic planets that can bring blessings to us. And, I guess Saturn could bring blessings to us, but it might be a hard fought, blessing. But Venus, it's kind of an easy kind of a influence. In the ninth house, this can even involve money, because Venus can bring money into whatever area she travels into. So some kind of profit. The ninth house can be publishing even. So in any of the ventures I've already mentioned. So in academic work, maybe you've been applying for some kind of a graduate assistantship, or, I forgot what else they call that, where you get a stipend and money, and you're an assistant professor or a graduate assistant, something like that. Whatever. There's so many different things that this could involve. Maybe you are a yoga teacher and you just started, but it could be falling in love with somebody from a foreign country, or from a different race, a different religion, something that is exotic, foreign to you. On the 17th, Saturn goes into Aquarius, into your 11th house. I've been doing videos on Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius for each of the signs. If I find, I'm not sure if I've done your sign yet. I think I did, though. I'll link it below if I find it. And if I remember, by the time I'm finished with this, I will link it. But it's on my channel. And on the 19th, Jupiter goes into Aquarius. So Saturn into Aquarius, just very briefly, I go more in depth on the video, the separate video. But it can be something where you're crystallizing your hopes and wishes. So they're becoming much more grounded in reality, something that you can actually manifest. The 11th house is kind of seeing into the future and having these long range goals. But if you don't take any steps to make it happen, organize your life in a way that's going to make it possible, it's just going to be a daydream. And so you might actually be able to make your dreams come true in the next couple of years. Jupiter in Aquarius can add more people into your life. Actually, Saturn can weed out your social circle. And those people who are no longer like people that you vibe with, maybe they will be leaving your life in some way. But Jupiter can add a whole new social circle, more people, and more networking if this is something that's important for you professionally. Also, Jupiter is a planet of good luck, and I've read, this might be more of the traditional astrologers saying that this was the luckiest house. I thought that the ninth house was the luckiest house, but you've got them in both houses, so you've got all bases covered. You've got transits in both of these areas. But one thing that I have to mention with all this Aquarius and Sag energy is how it's both that both of these signs are harmonious with Aries. So it's easier for things to work in your favor when you have transits in signs that sextile or are trine you. And if they're in your sign as well, that could be helpful too sometimes, depending on what planet it is or what point. Yeah, so it's more cooperative and it can make things manifest easier instead of like if you have a square, like when Saturn, as I record this, Saturn is still in Capricorn, that, it retrograded back into Capricorn. That's a square to Aries. So there's a lot of frustration coming from this career sector. And speaking of that, on the 20th, Mercury goes into this 10th house. So it makes me wonder if some of you are going to be traveling for work and you're getting all your ducks lined up. This could be talking to somebody in a position of authority, perhaps about a job that you're looking for. And with those planets in the 11th house, this can be very good for networking, as I stated earlier. And the 11th house is also the house of the internet. So just even having Saturn in, this planet, Saturn, that is associated with career in the house of Aquarius, in the 11th house, in its own sign of Aquarius, really kind of talks about, working using technology. On the 21st, we have the winter solstice, or at least where I live, and Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. And this has been an event that people have been waiting for. Now, one of the things about the solstice is that's when the sun is going into Capricorn. So the sun goes into your 10th house. And that can make you be very much all about your career, even though this is the holiday season. There may be some reason why you're really on fire with your career. Of course, this happens every year. But what doesn't happen every year is that we have Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction. And it's in that 11th house, and it's almost like having your dreams come true. Not only, having the opportunities with Jupiter, the luck, the alignment, but having Saturn manifest it for you. And of course, you doing your, keeping up your end of the bargain by doing what you can. And people have noted that, we had 2012 where people thought that the world was going to end because the Mayan calendar ended then. And there was this talk that was actually the end of this one cycle. And it wasn't that that it was misinterpreted that the world was going to end. But some people have pointed out that, 21 is the reverse of 12, and that this is actually that dawn of the golden age or this new era. So we shall see, of course, but certainly having this conjunction is very auspicious. And on top of that, for Aries, this is happening in this humanitarian sector that is actually Aquarius. So you have this double Aquarian energy. So this could be the dawning of the age of Aquarius for you, and for all of us, I guess you would say. And then on the 29th, we have the full moon at 8 degrees of Cancer, and this is falling in your fourth house of home and family. And this is a very emotional full moon just for everybody because it's in a water sign like Cancer. But on top of that, you have it in Cancer's house. So this is the house of childhood. Maybe something comes up for you that is connected to your past that makes you able to just let go of it. And, in terms of travel, maybe some of you are going to be traveling back to your home country. If you are living somewhere else, if you're living abroad, maybe your travel plans involve going home, and there's a sense of this, the past coming up to meet you and for you to let it go if there's any memories that are not all that cheery for you, that, have been emotional and things like that. The fourth house can be the mother, so kind of these revelations, some sort of awareness about her, especially if you've had a challenging relationship with her, you may soften and realize what she had to go through. Or in some cases, if you have tried to get along with her and it just hasn't happened, you might have to cut ties. But it's the point being that it's really a break from the past in general. And another thing that is interesting about the timing of this is that it's after Christmas. And this is a year that a lot of people may not be with their family because they're trying to, protect themselves or what have you. And so, there may be something that comes up about your mother that even if you're not in her presence at that time, that you have to address or look into. But it can be sympathetic. It can be that you gain more compassion for her. This could be selling a home. And with all of these other possibilities of travel, that certainly sounds like that could be what is going on. Maybe you're young enough where you're leaving home for the first time. Who knows? Or selling a house that you've lived in for 40 years. I have to say, I've never owned a home, but when I have heard about people selling their homes, I think, wow, that does take a lot of guts if you've lived there for a long time. So anyway, that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, if you would like to look at 2021, if you would like to look at your natal chart, hit me up. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. The link is below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.